Hi and welcome to episode 5. This time the wood finally gets off the floor, stored horizontally but in a very vertical way. When walking into the shop 2 years ago, the floor looked like this. A concrete Rorschach test surrounded by slabs piled left and right, every direction you looked. The deeper I walked in, the worse it got. The floor was gone and even the trailer had become storage. It felt less like a workshop and more like an archaeological dig site, except everything was wood and always in the way. So the goal was simple: get the wood off the floor without losing more floor space. And ideally before another slab delivery or more work tools arrived to bury me completely. The inspiration came again from another creator. Jay Bates' conduit lumber rack seemed like a good fit. Simple, strong, low cost and easy to scale. And with the dust boom in the previous episode using the same style of steel tubes, it felt like everything was slowly coming together. This rack would go on the left wall, giving me 250 cm of space between the pillars, or up to 350 cm if I kept some distance from the back wall by putting the slabs in front of the pillars. Plenty for the long maple and ash slabs waiting on the floor. To build it, I started with a single 24mm OSB sheet. 1 hour, several markings, 12 cuts, and 1 phone interruption later, all strips were ready for glue. The leftover strip showed the track was plenty accurate over 12 cuts. As long as you take your time and pretend you're measuring twice, even when you're not. To double up the strips, I opted for PU glue due to the uneven surfaces of the OSB strips. After applying the glue to the first strips, I remembered this glue sticks to everything, including skin. Better get those gloves on before I make a mess of things. Each pair got PU glue, most of my clamps and a few brad nails to keep everything aligned. There was no way I could do all of them in one go. Day 2 looked more of the same. More glue, more clamps, more where have all my clamps gone? It's an unwritten woodworking rule that no matter how many clamps you own, you'll always be too short. Now I know why they say you can never have enough woodworkers tell you you can never have enough clamps. Although Rex Kruger might disagree with that statement. Next came drilling the holes for the pipes. 5 per upright, all angled slightly upwards, about 50 centimeters apart. My drill press only drills holes straight down, so I quickly built an L-shaped jig out of some scrap OSB. Clamp it to the bench at an angle, slide the upright along it and hope you don't bump it out of position halfway. Not precision engineering, but it worked as needed. But because the footage of this step mysteriously vanished from my SSDs, we are seeing the later version I used. Then the drill press returned to its real job, straight and vertical holes. Before drilling anything, I marked all hole locations carefully. 6 mounting points per upright, top, bottom and 1 between each pipe hose. 12mm holes for the line walls and sufficient dual power plugs to anchor a small shed to the walls. Before mounting things permanently, I leaned all 6 uprights against the wall to get a feel for spacing, paying attention to set them correctly so all holes pointed upwards. 1 upright next to each pillar, then 4 spaced by eyeball at roughly half a meter distance. Purists would say to measure everything. I just made a simple storage stick that would give me close enough accuracy. The tricky part came next, making sure every row of holes was at the same height. That way the slabs wouldn't rock like a seesaw once the pipes were in. Flat wood slabs, optimistic, sure, but worth trying. With a laser level set at chest height in the middle of one of the holes, I positioned the first upright with a Viking arm and a handful of shims. Hammer drill through the post, hammer in the plug, screw it tight, repeat. The first upright went on beautifully, backwards. All the angled holes pointed downwards, not ideal for slabs unless gravity suddenly reversed. At least it wasn't upside down, the hole alignment was still correct. So I took it off, flipped it around and reinstalled it, this time with my eyes actually open. The second upright went up exactly the same way, shim the height, align it vertically, drill, hammer in the plugs and screw them tight. More drilling, more hammering, more screws. The last 4 uprights went more smoothly with the help of the stock sticks. In total about 90 minutes of work, including remounted the upright number 1 correctly. Eventually the whole row stood straight, flush and ready, as if it's been planned that way all along. With everything mounted, I started installing the pipes, beginning with the 4th row. A bit low for a pull-up bar, but I couldn't resist trying anyhow. The wall held, the OSB held, the pipe flexed. I didn't get lift off, I blame the pipe flex, not my arm muscles. Turns out hanging 85 kilos on a 27mm steel tube isn't the same as storing wood. Installing the rest of the pipes was easy, slide, tap, until I ran out. 20 tubes, 30 holes. Math was not on my side. Or was the issue due to planning one way, executing differently? So there was only one logical thing to do, ordering more pipes. But before that I used the lower rows and started loading slabs. Maple, ash, oak. It was finally time to clear up the floor and get access to my trailer for further wood purchases. The 3rd row sits about 1.5 meters high, barely liftable for the 27mm ash slabs. 40mm thick maple slabs would go on the lower 2 rows, while the thicker slabs would go on the floor below the rack. So, time for some lifting. These boards aren't light, but they are up there now, and my back still reminds me of it. Maybe even so much that I leave boards up there and buy more. A week later the extra pipes arrived, and not only those. Because even with rack 1 loaded, the floor still looked too full for comfort. And it was clear that lifting slabs even higher wasn't realistic. So a second rack clearly was needed, and more pipes were included just for that. Rack 2 came together much faster. By now I'd had the practice. One of the remaining thicker live edge slabs was turned into 4 10cm wide uprights with the plunge saw. A few angled holes as well as straight holes drilled later, they were ready for the wall. The mounting steps were the same as rack 1, using the laser level, hammer drill, hammer and drill driver. This rack was made to fit neatly inside the 80cm pillar recess beside the garage door, thankfully clear of the garage door walls. And yes, I actually measured that part on purpose. After all tubes were in place, a new strength test was executed, this time without actual pull-up. Still tube flex and still no muscles to hold me up. Once rack 2 was halfway loaded, something magical happened. The floor was visible again. Not everywhere, but enough to walk without performing a tightrope act between slab piles. Only a few of the wider poplar slabs remained, as well as the 100cm diameter poplar cookie. These just didn't fit. Maybe a different type of storage can be built later. The total cost of this project was about 600 euros. The tubes alone came close to 400 euros already, and the duo plugs added another 100 euros. But it's well worth it for these results. This all was completed just in time, or better said, a few days too late. A delivery already came in and occupied some of the new floor space before I could have a dance-off scheduled. And more wood was already waiting for me. At least the trailer was free for a short while. Even now, 2 years later, that trailer is still temporary storage, but always in use. Thanks for watching, and remember, keep working with wood.